I was tired of Mark's constant jokes and put-downs. He didn't miss an opportunity to make mean comments about my appearance, and it was affecting my self-esteem and my performance at work. I decided it was time to do something about it, but I knew I couldn't face this battle alone. I needed support. One afternoon during a coffee break, I sat with some coworkers. The conversation started with the usual trivialities, until, without holding back, I vented about Mark's actions. To my surprise, I realized I was not alone. Everyone there had their own stories of humiliation and disrespect. The outrage was palpable. "He thinks he can treat everyone like this because he's the boss," commented Laura, one of the team's senior analysts. "But this needs to stop." "I agree," said Tom from the IT department. "We need to come together. If we all support Courtney, we can make a difference." It was then that the idea of forming a secret alliance arose. Together, we could build something great, something that showed everyone, including Mark, the true value of our work. We started meeting after hours, sharing ideas and strategies. One of the first meetings took place at Laura's house. She had prepared a simple snack, and as we ate, we began discussing areas in which we could innovate. John, from the development sector, brought the idea of a new software that could revolutionize the way the company managed its projects. "If we can create a working prototype, it will impress senior management," he said, his eyes shining with excitement. I knew this wouldn't be easy. Time was short, and the pressure was mounting. But with each meeting, I felt more confident. We had a common goal and we were determined to achieve it. "All right, everyone," I said, in one of the final meetings before the presentation. "We have the prototype almost ready. We need to focus on the details now. Each of you played a key role in this, and I couldn't be more grateful." "You're going to rock it, Courtney," Laura said, smiling at me. "We're all rooting for you." With their support, I started to feel stronger. I knew that the presentation would be a crucial moment, not only for me, but for everyone who had invested their time and effort in this project. It was more than an opportunity to showcase our talent, it was a chance to change the power dynamics in the company and end the cycle of humiliation. The nights of hard work continued, and with each passing day, the project became more robust. I prepared for every possible question that might arise during the presentation, reviewed every detail, and rehearsed tirelessly. Finally, the big day arrived. Upon entering the conference room, I felt a mix of nervousness and determination. I looked around and saw my colleagues, those who had been with me every step of the way, giving me encouraging smiles. "It's going to be okay," Tom whispered as he passed me. I took a deep breath and began my presentation. As he spoke, I could see the looks of surprise and admiration on the faces of his executives and colleagues. When I finished, the room was silent for a moment, before erupting in applause. Mark, on the other hand, was visibly uncomfortable. He knew that moment was a turning point. The confidence and talent that my team and I demonstrated left him demoralized. And so, with the support of my colleagues, I was able to not only present a revolutionary project, but also change the power dynamics at Innovatech. From that day on, respect and collaboration became the foundation of our work environment, and I knew I would never again have to face Mark's humiliations alone. I was having a coffee in the company's break room, trying to relax a little between meetings, when John, one of Innovatech's high-ranking executives, entered the room. He was known for being an imposing figure, but always very fair and considerate towards everyone. "Hi, Courtney. How are things?" he asked, grabbing a cup of coffee. "Hi, John. I'm fine, thank you. How about you?" I replied, trying to sound casual even though I knew this was an opportunity one couldn't pass up. "Well too. I've been hearing a lot about your project. It seems like you're working on something big, doesn't it?" I smiled, surprised and a little nervous. "Yes, I am. I'm developing new process optimization software that I believe could revolutionize the way we manage our data here at Innovatech." John nodded, looking genuinely interested. "That sounds amazing. Would you mind giving me a more detailed idea about the project?" maybe we can discuss some improvements together." My heart accelerated. It was the perfect opportunity to refine my project with the help of someone so experienced. Of course, it would be an honor. That same afternoon, we met in the conference room. I brought all my notes, prototypes, and graphs that I had prepared. John settled down and began to examine everything carefully. "I see you put a lot of time and effort into this, Courtney. It's really impressive," he praised. "Thanks, John. I've been working hard, but I feel like there's still room for improvement," I replied, eager for his suggestions. John smiled and began offering a series of valuable tips. "Firstly, your central idea is great, but I think we can work a little more on visually presenting the data. This will help make it more accessible and impactful to the public. Also, consider adding a section on the financial implications of your project. Show how it not only optimizes processes, but also saves resources." I frantically wrote down all of his suggestions. "That makes a lot of sense. I've never thought of it that way." "Another thing," John continued, "is the way you present your ideas. You have a clear and passionate vision, but you need to make sure that shines through when you're in front of everyone. Practice your presentation, use clear, direct language, and don't be afraid to show your confidence." These words had a profound impact on me. I've always had a certain insecurity when speaking in public, especially after so many jokes and humiliations from Mark. But the way John believed in my potential and encouraged me to show my confidence was new and encouraging. "I'll work on it. Thanks so much, John. Your tips are really valuable," he said, feeling a new wave of determination. The following days were intense. I approached the project with a new perspective, incorporating all of John's suggestions. He reviewed my progress regularly, offering constructive feedback and helping me improve every detail. During one of those meetings, he told me something that I will never forget. "Courtney, you have incredible talent and admirable determination. Don't let anyone, especially someone like Mark, make you doubt your worth. Trust in yourself and what you are capable of accomplishing." These words were a balm for my self-esteem. I realized that with the right support and believing in myself, I could face any challenge. John's mentorship not only refined my project, but also gave me renewed confidence. As the presentation date approached, I felt more and more prepared. I knew I was ready to show the whole of Innovatech, and especially Mark, what I was capable of. And this time, it would be different. I was armed with a revolutionary project, valuable mentorship, and unshakable confidence. I was ready to change the game. As I prepared for the performance, I faced my own inner demons. Mark's constant jokes and humiliations had left deep marks on my self-esteem, and I felt the pressure to be perfect in this performance. At times, doubt and fear took over me, almost paralyzing me. "You're not good enough," an inner voice whispered. "He will find a way to ridicule you again." In these dark times, I found comfort in my family and friends. My mother, always the voice of wisdom, told me, "Courtney, you are a strong and talented woman. Don't let the words of an insecure man define who you are." I also leaned on my best friend, Lisa, a lot. One night, while we were having coffee after work, I told her, "Lisa, I don't know if I can do this. What if I fail? What if Mark humiliates me in front of everyone again?" Lisa looked straight into my eyes and took my hand firmly. "Courtney, you are one of the brightest people I know. You have a vision and a revolutionary idea. Don't let fear stop you from shining. Remember, we are all on your side." These words gave me new strength. I knew I wasn't alone in this battle. In addition to Lisa and my family, my coworkers were also supportive. Each of them contributed to the project in some way, and this showed me that they believed in me and my ability to lead this change. There was one night in particular that stands out in my memory. I was reviewing the last details of the presentation when my father entered my room. He had that serious but affectionate look. "Courtney," he began, "remember when you were little and you were afraid to ride your bike without training wheels? You fell a few times, but you never gave up. And look at you now, you ride your bike like you're part of from you. I smiled as I remembered these memories. He continued. This performance is your bike without training wheels. You may fall, but the important thing is to get up and keep pedaling. Believe in yourself. You have everything you need to do this. These words echoed inside me. It was a simple but powerful metaphor. I knew that the journey so far had been full of ups and downs, but each experience made me stronger and more prepared for this moment. The next day, during a break from work, I met with John, my mentor. He noticed the tension on my face and asked, "How are you feeling, Courtney?" I sighed and replied, "Honestly, I'm terrified, John. What if I don't make it? What if Mark finds a way to make me look ridiculous?" John smiled understandingly. "Courtney, fear is natural. But remember that you have an incredible team by your side, a revolutionary idea, and solid preparation. Trust in your work and trust in yourself. And most of all, remember that you are doing this not just for yourself, but for everyone who believes in you." Those final words from John were the boost I needed. I knew the journey to presentation wouldn't be easy, but I was determined to face each challenge head-on. I was ready to show everyone, especially Mark, that I was so much more than he could imagine. I was ready to shine. While preparing for the big presentation, one of the nights we stayed late at the office, something unexpected happened. I was reviewing some old company documents, trying to find any inspiration or relevant data that could further strengthen my project. It was then that I came across a curious file, apparently forgotten in one of the archive folders. When I opened it, my heart started to race. "You won't believe what I found," I said, calling out Taylor, one of my closest colleagues who was also part of our secret alliance. She approached quickly, with a curious look. "What is it? Something important for the project?" "More than that," I replied, showing him the document. It was a series of old reports and email exchanges that revealed some of Mark's questionable practices. The messages showed that he had manipulated data in past projects to benefit himself, and there were even indications that he had diverted company resources for other purposes. Taylor's eyes widened. "This is serious, Courtney. With this information, we can unmask Mark once and for all." I knew we had something powerful on our hands, but I was also aware that we could not use this information lightly. We needed to be strategic. We can't just throw this in his face. We need to be subtle and use this to expose his hypocrisy without appearing vindictive. "I agree," Taylor said. "But how are we going to do this?" We spent the night discussing and planning. The idea was to incorporate elements of these discoveries into my presentation, in a way that exposed Mark's flaws and insecurities indirectly. We didn't want to turn the presentation into a personal attack, but rather show everyone that the real problem was with his leadership. The next day, in a meeting with the rest of the team, I shared the discovery. "This information is an asset, but we need to use it wisely," I said, as everyone analyzed the documents. John, my mentor, was present at the meeting and was impressed. "Courtney, this could really change the game. But remember, how you present this information will be crucial. We must stay focused on your project and just leave these revelations as subtext." "I get it, John. I'll focus on showcasing the innovation and clarity of our work, and this information will be used to reinforce the message that leadership needs to be honest and transparent," I responded, feeling a new vigor. In the days that followed, I adjusted my presentation, incorporating the findings in subtle ways. The idea was to create a contrast between my vision of innovation and transparency and Mark's questionable practices. I wanted everyone to see that for Innovatech to thrive, we needed leadership that valued integrity. The night before the performance, I felt a mixture of nervousness and excitement. I reviewed my slides countless times, adjusting every detail. My family and friends continued to support me, strengthening my resolve. "You're going to rock, Courtney. We're all so proud of you," my mom said, giving me a tight hug. When the day of the presentation finally arrived, I was ready. I walked into the conference room with my head held high, feeling the invisible support of all those who believed in me. The room was packed, and all eyes were on me. Mark was sitting in the front row, with a confident look that would soon change. I started the presentation with clarity and precision, highlighting the strengths of the project and the innovation it would bring to the company. As I progressed, I began to subtly introduce information about Mark's practices, contextualizing them in a way that showed the need for transparent and ethical leadership. For a company to prosper, it is essential that all members, especially leaders, exemplify integrity and honesty, I said, looking directly at Mark. Transparency is not just an option, it is a necessity for long-term success. I could see Mark breaking out in a cold sweat, realizing he was being subtly and effectively unmasked. The room was completely silent, and I felt the energy shift. Upon finishing the performance, I was greeted with a standing ovation. I knew I had accomplished my goal, and the power dynamics in the office had been irrevocably changed. The great day has come. I woke up early, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. I spent weeks preparing every detail of this presentation, and now it all came down to this moment. I put on my best outfit, a combination that made me feel powerful and confident, and headed to the office. As I drove, I mentally reviewed the main points of the project and the strategies we discussed in secret meetings with my colleagues. Upon arriving at Innovatech, I noticed a different atmosphere in the air. The whispers between colleagues, the encouraging looks and the supportive smiles gave me an extra boost. John, my mentor, met me in the hallway and offered some final words of encouragement. "Courtney, you are more than prepared. Your work is brilliant. Remember, you have support from all of us. Go out there and show what you're capable of." Those words calmed my mind and gave me the peace of mind I needed to enter the meeting room with my head held high. The room was full. All the Innovatech executives were present, including Mark, who gave me a disdainful look, but I didn't let it faze me. I started the presentation with an introduction to the project, outlining the problems our technology would solve and highlighting the innovations we implemented. As I progressed, I felt the energy in the room change. The looks of skepticism gave way to admiration and genuine interest. I could see Mark breaking into a cold sweat, realizing something big was happening. When I got to the most crucial part of the presentation, I pointed to a slide that showed impressive data from our simulations. The graphics were clear and the statistics were impressive. The room was in absolute silence. I took advantage of the moment to subtly insert the discoveries I made about Mark, exposing his hypocrisy without being direct. And as you can see, our project is not only innovative, but also demonstrates the importance of integrity and teamwork, he said, looking directly at Mark for a brief second. After all, it is collaboration and mutual respect that drive true innovation. There was a murmur of approval in the room, and I continued, feeling my confidence grow with each word. When I finished, there was a moment of silence before the room erupted in applause. John was the first to get up, followed by the other executives. Mark tried to force a smile, but it was clear he was deeply shaken. After the presentation, I was surrounded by colleagues and executives, all expressing their admiration and support. One of the directors, Sarah, came over and congratulated me. "Courtney, that was simply extraordinary. We are all very impressed. Your project has enormous potential and we want to move forward with it immediately." As I talked to Sarah, Mark tried to downplay the impact of the presentation, but it was clear he was struggling to maintain his composure. "Well, it was an interesting presentation, but there's still a lot to consider," he said, trying to sound casual. Sarah, however, was not fooled. "Mark, I think we can all agree that Courtney's work is revolutionary. We're going to move forward with this, and we need to make sure she has all the support she needs." Coworkers, who were part of our secret alliance, came over to congratulate me. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Not only had I proven myself, but I had also changed the power dynamics in the office. As I left the meeting room, John approached again and said, "You made history today, Courtney. Congratulations." I thanked him, feeling immense happiness. I knew that, from that moment on, things would never be the same at Innovatech. The confidence and talent I demonstrated not only demoralized Mark, but also showed everyone that I was ready to lead. The room was deafeningly silent when I finished my presentation. I could feel my heart beating faster, but I maintained a confident posture. The project my team and I had created was truly revolutionary, and now I was about to find out if all the effort would be worth it. Suddenly the silence was broken by an explosion of applause. My colleagues rose to their feet in a standing ovation, something I would never have expected. It was a moment of pure euphoria. John, my mentor, was in the front row, with a proud smile on his face. I couldn't contain my excitement and smiled back, feeling a wave of relief and happiness wash over me. "Congratulations, Courtney." "That was amazing," said Sarah, one of my closest colleagues, as she hugged me. Other team members joined in, congratulating me and praising the project. "You nailed it, Courtney." "I've never seen anything like it," exclaimed David, one of the senior developers, visibly impressed. As I took in all the support and recognition from my peers, I looked at Mark. He was pale, with an expression that varied between anger and disbelief. I could see the sweat running down his forehead. He tried to maintain his composure, but it was clear that he was shaken. "Well, it's an interesting project," Mark said, trying to minimize the impact, but his voice was shaking. "But we still need to discuss the details." Before he could continue, John intervened. "Actually, Mark, I think we can all agree that Courtney's project is exactly what Innovatech needs. It's clear that she and her team have put a lot of work and innovation into this." The other executives, who until that point had watched in silence, began to express their enthusiasm. "I completely agree, John. This project has enormous potential to revolutionize our market," said Elizabeth, the Vice President of Operations. "We need to start implementation as soon as possible." "Courtney, you did a spectacular job," added Robert, the CFO, giving me an approving look. Mark was visibly uncomfortable, but tried to keep up the facade. "Yes, of course. Good job, Courtney," he said, unconvincingly. After the meeting, as I walked down the hall, I was approached by several colleagues who wanted to personally express how impressed and grateful they were for my work. "You really represented us well, Courtney. Finally someone showed what we're capable of," said Amanda from marketing. I felt a wave of gratitude and pride wash over me. Finally, all my effort and dedication were being recognized. I went to my desk to get my things and saw an anonymous note, "Thank you for giving us a voice. You are a true leader." It was clear that the power dynamics in the office were changing. Mark, who had previously felt comfortable making cruel jokes and demoralizing others, was now being questioned. My colleagues, previously fearful and unmotivated, were now full of energy and hope. There was a new sense of camaraderie and respect that permeated the environment. When I left the office that day, I felt stronger and more confident than ever. I knew that the fight against Mark's humiliations had not been in vain. With the support of my team and my own determination, I had managed to not only excel, but also transform the workplace for the better. As I walked to the parking lot, John approached me. "Courtney, you deserve all this recognition. I'm so proud of you," he said, with a sincere smile. "Thank you, John. I couldn't have done it without your mentorship and the support of the team," I replied, moved. "This is just the beginning. Get ready for great things," he said, with a knowing look. I knew he was right. From that moment on, everything would change. And I was ready to face any challenge that came my way. I clearly remember the day I received the news of my promotion. It was a Monday morning and, as usual, I arrived at the office early, still feeling on cloud nine after the successful presentation. I had barely placed my bag on the table when I received a message on my computer: "Please report to the 10th floor meeting room at 9:30 a.m. My heart accelerated. Something important was about to happen, I could feel it. I grabbed my notepad and a flash drive in case they needed any additional information about my project. When I entered the meeting room, I found John and other Innovatech executives already gathered. There was a tense, expectant atmosphere in the air. John greeted me with a welcoming smile. "Courtney, please sit down," he said, pointing to a chair next to him. I sat down, trying to maintain my composure, but my heart was still pounding. Several familiar faces and some new ones watched me intently. John began to speak. "Courtney, we were all extremely impressed with your presentation last week. Your vision and dedication have shown us that you are more than ready to take on greater responsibilities within our company." I almost couldn't believe what I was hearing. John paused dramatically before continuing. "That's why we're promoting you to Director of Technology Innovation." My heart skipped a beat. The room erupted in applause, and I could barely contain my excitement. John stood up and shook my hand. "Congratulations, Courtney. This is a well-deserved step in your career." I left the meeting feeling a mix of excitement and responsibility. I knew I had a unique opportunity to make a difference in the company, changing the work culture and promoting a more collaborative and respectful environment. I returned to my desk and began planning my next actions. That afternoon, I gathered my team to share the news and discuss our new guidelines. Everyone was beaming and visibly relieved at the imminent change in leadership. "Guys, I have incredible news. I was promoted to Director of Technological Innovation. This means we will have the chance to implement significant changes here at Innovatech. I want everyone to know that your voices will be heard and that I value each and every one of you." Sarah, one of my closest colleagues, smiled and said, "Courtney, this is fantastic. I always knew you had the potential to lead. We are with you." Their support was a huge boost to my confidence. I decided that the first change would be to create an environment where everyone felt safe to share their ideas without fear of being ridiculed or humiliated, as I had been by Mark. Promoting a culture of respect and innovation was now my main mission. Over the next few days, I started organizing weekly meetings where the entire team could openly discuss their projects and challenges. I introduced personal and professional development workshops, where everyone could learn new skills and grow together. I also implemented an anonymous feedback system so that everyone could express their concerns and suggestions without fear of retaliation. One afternoon during one of these meetings, a young developer named Alex shyly raised his hand. "Courtney, I just wanted to say that these changes are already making a big difference. I feel more motivated and valued here. Thank you for that." I felt a lump in my throat with emotion. Knowing that I was managing to create a positive and productive environment was the greatest recognition I could receive. Meanwhile, Mark's situation continued to deteriorate. His attempt to minimize the impact of my presentation had failed miserably, and he was increasingly isolated. Management was clearly on my side, and it wouldn't be long before he faced the consequences of his actions. My promotion was not just an advancement in my career, but a personal victory against all the humiliations and challenges I faced. More than ever, I was determined to use my new position to transform Innovatech into a place where everyone felt respected and inspired to do their best. And with the support of my team, I knew this was just the beginning. I clearly remember the day Mark was called into the administration office. There was a tense silence in the air, and everyone in the office seemed to be holding their breath, waiting to see what would happen. I had just been promoted and was still processing all the changes that were occurring, both in my professional and personal life. The feeling of finally reaching a level where I could make a difference was intoxicating, but it also carried a weight that I couldn't ignore. Shortly after my promotion, management made it clear that Mark needed to change his behavior or face serious consequences. He was given an ultimatum: either he fit in and start treating his colleagues with respect, or he would be removed from his duties. At first, Mark seemed resistant to the idea. He had always been the type of person who believed that his way of leading was the only way, even if it meant stepping on others to stay on top. I watched all of this with a mixture of curiosity and caution. One afternoon, after a particularly tense meeting, Mark approached me. I could see the hesitation in his eyes. He had never addressed me in a way that wasn't condescending or sarcastic. "Courtney, can I talk to you for a moment?" he asked, voice softer than usual. "Of course, Mark. What do you need?" I responded, trying to maintain neutrality. I wanted to apologize. I know I was difficult to deal with and my jokes crossed the line. "I was wrong," he said. avoiding my gaze. "I was surprised by your attitude. Mark, I appreciate your apology, but changing isn't just about saying you're sorry. It's about acting differently. Are you willing to do that?" He sighed deeply. "I know. I'm trying. I've already started seeing a therapist to deal with some personal things. I really want to change, not just for myself, but also to improve the environment here." Despite Mark's words, I knew the transformation wouldn't be easy. However, I decided to give it a chance. "Okay, Mark. Let's look at your actions from now on. If you need help, you can count on me." Over the next few weeks, I watched Mark closely. He actually started making a genuine effort to change his behavior. It was strange to see him so restrained and careful in his interactions. Instead of making mean jokes, he started offering constructive feedback. At one point, he even publicly apologized to the team during a meeting. "I know many of you have resentment towards me, and rightfully so. I'm working to be a better person and a better leader. I hope you can give me a chance to prove that," he said, his voice thick with sincerity. The team was silent for a moment, but soon they began to applaud. It was a decisive moment. I could see that although trust would not be instantly restored, there was a path to redemption. I continued to watch Mark cautiously, knowing that old habits are hard to break. However, over time, he began to gain the team's trust again. He became more collaborative and, little by little, the dynamics of the office began to change. One afternoon, Mark came to me again. "Courtney, I just wanted to thank you for giving me the chance to change. I know I didn't deserve it, but you gave me this opportunity. Thank you." I smiled. "Mark, everyone deserves a second chance. The important thing is what you do with it." Seeing Mark transform was a powerful reminder that even the most difficult people can change, if they're willing to do the work necessary. And for me, it was a confirmation that true leadership is about empathy and the ability to see the potential for growth in others. From the moment I took on the new leadership position at Innovatech, I felt that a huge responsibility weighed on my shoulders, but also a unique opportunity to transform the work environment into something I always dreamed of. The first thing I did was bring the entire team together for a sincere and open conversation. I wanted everyone to know that, under my leadership, respect and collaboration would be the foundation of everything. "Good morning everyone," I began, feeling a little nervous but also a lot of determination. "I want you to know that my office doors will always be open. I want to hear your ideas, concerns and suggestions. Together, we can make Innovatech a place where everyone feels valued and motivated." There was a moment of silence before the first applause began. I looked around and saw faces that had previously been clenched in tension now relaxed and hopeful. The sense of togetherness was palpable, and this was just the beginning. One of my first steps was to implement continuous feedback policies. Instead of annual reviews, we decided to hold monthly feedback sessions where each team member could express their opinions and receive constructive guidance. This not only improved communication, but also allowed everyone to feel like their voices were heard. "This is what we needed," said Laura, one of the company's most senior developers, during one of these sessions. "We finally have a safe space to talk and grow." Additionally, we introduce regular training on interpersonal skills and conflict management. We hire experts to lead workshops on empathy, effective communication, and teamwork. These initiatives quickly began to show results. Collaboration between departments increased, and ideas began to flow freely. "I never thought I could work so well with marketing people," commented Jake, one of our software engineers. "But these trainings really changed the way we communicate and solve problems together." Productivity soared. Projects that previously seemed to stagnate began to move forward with surprising speed. Innovation, which is the heart of Innovatech, has flourished like never before. One of the most memorable moments was when our team launched a new product that quickly became a success on the market. Joy and pride were visible on every face. "This is the result of all of your efforts," he said during a celebration meeting. "I'm extremely proud of everyone here. Let's continue on this path of success and collaboration." Of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. Implementing significant changes to an established corporate culture always comes with challenges. There was resistance from some, especially those who were used to the old way of doing things. It took patience and a lot of persistence to overcome these obstacles. "I feel like we're losing our identity," complained one veteran during a meeting. "I'm not used to so many changes." "I understand your concern," I replied, trying to be as empathetic as possible. "But innovation is the soul of our company. We need to evolve to continue being market leaders." Little by little, even the most resistant began to see the benefits of the new policies. Transparency and openness created an environment where everyone could thrive. Job satisfaction increased, and the employee turnover rate fell drastically. A particularly exciting moment was when we received a Best Place to Work award at a prestigious industry ceremony. I went up on stage to receive the award on behalf of Innovatech, but I knew that the real merit belonged to the entire team. "This award belongs to all of you," he said, holding up the trophy. "Every effort, every idea, every moment of collaboration has brought us here. I am immensely grateful to be part of this incredible team." Over time, the change in the company's culture solidified. Respect and collaboration were no longer just nice words in a speech, but a reality lived daily. And, most importantly, no one else has had to go through the humiliations that I have faced in the past. Innovatech was not only an innovative technology company, but also an example of how a healthy work environment can drive success. The transformation was complete, and everyone, including me, knew the future was bright. The final twist. Sitting in my new room, with a panoramic view of the city, I couldn't believe the transformation my life had undergone in the last few months. The environment at Innovatech was light, collaborative, and the team was more united than ever. However, a shadow still loomed over us: Mark. Even though he was trying to change, something always seemed out of place. One afternoon, while reviewing some reports, I received an unexpected call from the internal audit team. They wanted to see me immediately. "Courtney, can you come to our office? We have something important to discuss," Anna, the head of audit, said with an urgent tone in her voice. My heart raced, but I remained calm. "Of course, Anna. I'm on my way." When I arrived at the auditor's office, the atmosphere was tense. Anna and her team were gathered around a table, with a stack of documents in front of them. "Courtney, we've found something that needs to be treated extremely seriously," Anna began, looking directly at me. "During our routine audit, we discovered that Mark was involved in illicit activities, embezzling company resources." I was shocked. Although I knew Mark had his flaws, I never imagined he was capable of something so serious. Misusing resources? How did this go unnoticed for so long? I asked, trying to process the information. Anna took a deep breath and explained, "Mark was very cunning. He manipulated the financial reports in order to hide his transactions. But thanks to some inconsistencies we found recently, we were able to track the deviation." While Anna spoke, my mind was racing. As the team leader, I knew we needed to act quickly. "Now, what do we do?" I asked, trying to maintain my composure. "We will fire Mark immediately and launch a criminal investigation," Anna replied firmly. "We need to ensure that all misappropriated funds are recovered and that he faces legal consequences for his actions." I nodded, agreeing with every word. "I agree. We cannot allow someone who has harmed the company and employees so much to continue here. I will inform senior management and ensure that all necessary measures are taken." A few hours later, Mark was called into a meeting with the executives and audit team. When he came out, his face was pale and his eyes were wide. He knew his time at Innovatech was over. "Courtney, I made mistakes. I don't know what to say," he stammered, trying to find some redemption. I looked at him, remembering all the jokes and humiliations I had endured. "Mark, we all make mistakes, but yours came at a very high cost. I hope you find a way to redeem yourself, but it won't be here at Innovatech anymore," I replied firmly. With Mark fired and the investigation underway, word quickly spread throughout the company. The team, which was already united, now felt even more strengthened knowing that the leadership had integrity and was committed to justice. Confidence in me grew, and this was reflected in a significant increase in team morale and productivity. Weeks later, at a corporate event, I was called on stage to receive an award recognizing my integrity and leadership. "Courtney, you faced adversity and showed the true meaning of leadership and resilience. On behalf of all of Innovatech, we thank you for your dedication and courage," said John, the senior executive who had mentored me. As I held the award, a wave of emotions washed over me. I remembered every challenge, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt. But there, to the applause of my colleagues, I knew that it had all been worth it. Mark, now demoralized and jobless, faced the consequences of his actions, while I became a symbol of resilience and justice. The final twist was not just about exposing corruption, but about showing that integrity and dedication can transform not just a career, but an entire life. And in that moment, I felt a deep peace, knowing that I had made a difference.